let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not Scott Braun. I'm Britt Ghiroli with The
Thank God.
Athletic. It feels like, people got the memo that Scott wasn't going to be here, and they said, let's get the hot stove going. So much going on. We have MLB Insider Ken Rosenthal here with us. We're going to charge the mound with Ken. So much to talk about, really, even since this morning, Ken. I mean, you look at baseball and you look at the signings and things that are going on, and then out of nowhere, seemingly, we get word that Chris Young told reporters down in Texas Max Scherzer underwent surgery for a herniated disc in his back. He's going to be out till June or July. Now, he's had back issues in the past. He's been on the IL for them. He's missed starts for them. How big of a loss is this for the Rangers, who are still dealing with Jacob deGrom coming off of injury as well?
Britt, they've got a really interesting situation developing down there. So after the All-Star break, presuming Max recovers well and presuming Jacob recovers well and presuming Tyler Mahle, their newest pitcher, recovers well, they could have almost a line change of new pitchers, a new rotation effectively coming in. And they still are interested, as of yesterday, when they knew Scherzer was having surgery, in signing Clayton Kershaw as a free agent. So that would be another Hall of Famer coming back off of surgery in the second half, possibly. I don't know if it's all going to come together like that. I don't know if they're going to sign Kershaw or not, but they're in a really interesting spot. And this is kind of what they did last year. I'm talking more about the Mahle signing and the potential Kershaw signing. They gathered as many bodies as possible and then had the depth come October to really do some interesting things. Andrew Heaney out of the bullpen, or as kind of a glorified opener. Dane Dunning out of the bullpen. Martin Perez, right down the line. So they still have a decent rotation with Eovaldi and Dunning, and of course some others. They still could sign a Jordan Montgomery potentially, but they've had issues because of their RSN, some uncertainty surrounding it, and that has led to some financial restraint, even coming off a World Series title. So they're going to be a team to watch in the coming days, and it's just really a difficult spot for them maybe at the start of the season, but it should get better as the situation improves going forward.
Sticking with the Rangers here, I'm thinking about some young guys that are actually coming up too, like a Jack Leiter. Could you see some young guys getting some opportunities, especially? I know he struggled earlier in his minor league career, but I know he's pretty much been a dominant pitcher throughout. So can you see a guy like that get an opportunity out of spring training, or another name or two?
I could, Todd, and I don't know about out of spring training, but he is one prospect that is coming, and he's made a lot of progress this offseason on top of the end of last season. Owen White is another one, and yes, this could be a situation where there's some opportunity for some of these younger pitchers. They still have guys that they can turn to. John Gray is another one. I failed to mention him. They are in, as I said, an interesting spot here, and I would imagine we're going to see a lot of different people pitching for the Texas Rangers next season. And the real question for me is, okay, you're counting on deGrom, you're counting on Scherzer, you're counting on Tyler Mahle, all coming back and making an impact. What if that doesn't happen? And what if you're just stuck with all these high-paid guys who really aren't contributing much in 2024? That's something that they're going to have to consider going forward as well.
Who cares, Ken? They won the World Series in 23. They'll deal with a year of downtimes to celebrate that World Series. It happens all the time. The big news for me, besides Max going down, is the Glasnow thing that went down with the Dodgers. Yes, they introduced Ohtani yesterday, and it was obviously well attended. But in the background, ho hum, we traded for Manuel Margot and Tyler Glasnow. Oh yeah, and we signed him to a 5-year, $135 million extension. I mean, are the funds unlimited in Los Angeles?
Actually, AJ, if you look at their luxury tax payroll, they are still well under the top threshold. They're somewhere in the $246 million range right now. That's below a number of teams. They spent a lot of time building up, or actually tearing down, their commitments and putting themselves in position to spend this offseason. So I expect them, yes, to be in on Yamamoto. We know they are in on Yamamoto, and potentially they are the favorite or one of them for Yamamoto. So they're going to keep going. They're in position, at least in terms of the luxury tax payroll, to keep going. Yes, cash seems to be unlimited there. That's no secret. But at the same time, the Ohtani deal, we know about it and how it's deferred, and $68 million coming each year, 10 years down the line. They are in as good a position as you can be in for spending all this money. And yes, they obviously have the means to do it. And that's why they're pushing on all these multiple fronts.
I'm a terrible host, guys. I forgot to introduce Todd Frazier, who's here. I would have introduced AJ, but I'm not certain he's still alive after the beatdown Rowdy Tellez gave him on the show yesterday.
Bullshit.
Oh my.
Bullshit.
I mean, Ken, I think you should just accept the bat that AJ's giving out, signed bats, because he like wants to send this bat to Rowdy very badly. And Rowdy clearly didn't want it. So send it to Ken. He can jazz it up in his background and we'll be good to go.
Hey, don't worry. Ken's going to catch a beating before he gets off the show from one of our guests yesterday. So let's not leave Ken alone.
Really?
Oh, really?
Ken, you were all over this Glasnow trade, though, Ken. How did this come about? And is this just typical the Rays being the Rays? They don't want to pay Glasnow. They don't want to pay Margot. So they kind of have to churn and burn and reset here with two younger guys and hope these guys work out.
It is typical Rays, Britt, and you've covered them before, and we all know how they operate. What is interesting here is they're getting, in my opinion, a decent return when, in reality, if you're trading 1 year of control and a $25 million salary, generally speaking, you don't get that kind of return. And then they're throwing in Manuel Margot and, of course, actually adding $4 million to the deal. Yes, the Rays are sending money to the Dodgers, as crazy as that sounds. And that all enabled them to get Ryan Pepio and Johnny DeLuca, and at the same time save $33 million. And really the key here is sending Glasnow to a place he wants to go. He's a Southern California native. And also to a team that is willing to sign him to an extension, because clearly the fact that the Dodgers are getting the extension made them more comfortable giving up the players that they did. So it's kind of a quietly brilliant move by the Rays, in my opinion. What they're doing here is salvaging a situation that was out of hand for them from a payroll perspective. They were at about $120 million. They didn't want to be there. And again, when you trade a guy, 1 year of control, $25 million, as much as we talk about, oh, teams don't care how much they're paying a guy on 1 year. Yeah, they care when they have to give up prospects as well. In this case, the Rays got decent players, even though they're sending a ton of money to LA.
It's just phenomenal to see how this all works. Like, you think you understand baseball, and then a trade happens like this, and boom, all this money deferred. This person's getting that. Then they make another trade. I mean, what's next in store for the Dodgers? I mean, I know you talk about Yamamoto, but is there anybody like that they want like right now besides him? Like, because you think about these other teams, Dinkin and Duncan. You think about the Cubs not doing much. Like, there's teams out there that are not doing anything. The Dodgers are just taking control of this whole thing.
Well, Yamamoto is their focus right now, Todd. And if they get him, then, of course, I would imagine they're not going to do much more. At the same time, if they don't get him, they can perhaps trade for another starter, sign a different starter, whether it's Snell or Montgomery. Who knows how they might go about it. They have a number of ways that they can go. And still, right now, their 2024 rotation needs a little bit of work. And you look at getting Glasnow and replacing Pepio. Well, Pepio was going to be in the rotation. Glasnow's better, of course, though he's injury prone. So they aren't really beyond where they were last year in terms of bodies, in terms of numbers. They still need a big-time guy because Ohtani is not going to be pitching for them this year. And right now, Kershaw is a free agent. He might not return. So there are all these things in play with them, and they're going to have to keep focusing on starting pitching because right now, that is the void on the club.
Now let's talk about the Royals here a little bit. They're making these small little, I wouldn't say small, but these trades here left and right. Oh, wow, they got this guy. They just picked up so-and-so. Like, these names, people are like, oh, why are they picking these guys up? Like, can we talk about the Royals a little bit? What's going on with them? Talk to us about the trades they've had, and, they're making some noise.
Well, it's refreshing to see them actually trying to put a better team on the field. The thing I like the most about what they've done are the additions of Lugo and now Michael Wacha. They reached agreement with him today, 2 years, $32 million. And when you have such a young rotation that was so exposed last season, you need to put veterans up top to kind of show the way. Now, Lugo's 34. He's only done it once as a starter, but he was pretty darn good last year. And Michael Wacha, he might not give you 200 innings. He's not going to give you 200 innings. But when he is out there, he is really good, and both these guys should set good examples for their younger pitchers. They also reached agreement with Hunter Renfroe. He should help them offensively as well. I kind of like what I'm seeing here, and we talked about this on the show the other day. They are trying to get a new ballpark built downtown Kansas City. Obviously, if you're trying to convince people to put up the money for that, you want to show them that you're trying. Nice of them to do this, and they're going to keep going. They want to give Bobby Witt a big extension. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but it's something that they've been discussing and trying to do.
Ken, the Royals, the Tigers went out and have made some moves also. The Royals have made all these signings. Is this just a sign of how weak the American League Central really is? Because the Royals think they can compete. The Tigers are expecting to take the next step, bringing in Flaherty and some other guys. Is this more of a sign of how bad the AL Central really is?
Well, I do think, AJ, that the Royals and Tigers see opportunity. And the Tigers in particular, they've got some interesting young position players, and now their pitching is coming together as well. Skubal's back. Mize is coming back. You can see an opening in what is undoubtedly a weaker division. Cleveland with the RSN issues taking seemingly a step backward here. Minnesota with its RSN issues perhaps taking a step back. Certainly not spending the way they wanted to coming off the season that they had. So yeah, there is opportunity there for the other teams in the AL Central. And too often we've seen these teams not respond to that kind of opportunity. But now, yeah, they're going forward, and it's a healthy situation for that division and really for the game too. You need teams trying, and that's what's going on here.
Ken, obviously we had, I think 4 or 5 different reporters at Ohtani's press conference yesterday. But to me, one of the more interesting things was that the Angels had the opportunity to match the Dodgers offer at the end. That's what Ohtani's agent said. Do we buy that this is something Ohtani was actually going to do if the Angels had said, yes, we'll give you that exact same deal? And are we giving Artie Moreno any credit here at all for not matching it? Because they were a bad team without Ohtani. They can't win with just Ohtani. So how did you feel when you saw that?
I was kind of skeptical of the whole thing, Britt. The reason is, okay, let's say the Angels said, yes, we'll do this exact same deal. Would Ohtani really have chosen the Angels over the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that's been to the playoffs, I don't know, every year for the last 10 or so? Hard to believe. And he has talked about winning. He has things in his contract. He has done things in his contract to, in his mind and the Dodgers' minds, enhance the possibility of winning. So you're telling me that if the Angels had matched the Dodgers' offer, he was going to go back to the Angels, who are not about winning, or at least have not been a winning team for quite some time. I have a really hard time believing that. I'm sure they did go back and at least give them the opportunity. I believe that happened. At the same time, I don't believe Shohei Ohtani would have chosen the Angels over the Dodgers, even if the money was the same. I know he was comfortable there, but I'm just not buying it.
Bob, or Ken, we had Bob Costas on yesterday. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he's won 29 Emmys compared to your measly like 4 or 5. So he's kind of a big deal. He said yesterday we were chatting with him. How many do you have?
I don't know, AJ. Can we just continue the show? What's the problem here? What do we got?
No, it's relevant. It's relevant. He said that when we have you on, he wanted me to tell you that he hopes a pickup basketball game breaks out next time you guys are around each other, because he would post your ass up and take you to the hole, was exactly what he said. I don't know what that means, but I think he
said he would post my ass up?
Yes, he did. Well, maybe not exact, but he did say he'd post you up and take you to the hole. So do you have a rebuttal for Mr. Costas? And then we talked about a salary cap with him, and he's always been very, because of the Dodgers thing, because of now getting Glasnow, because of, I know, the luxury taxes. Do you think that could come? Because, listen, as a player, we've always fought against it.
First of all, with regard to Bob and posting me up, he could post me up and do a lot of things to me on the court. I'm kind of retired right now. Physically unable to perform.
I got Tim Kirchin. Tim Kirchin beating all you guys, man.
Tim Kirchin, well, hold on. Tim Kirkjian, when we were covering the Orioles together, not only crushed me in the paper every day, he did that. Then when we would play pickup basketball back in the days when I was still active, that was not a good contest either. That was a mismatch. Tim Kirkjian is one of the best basketball players for his size I have ever seen.
Yes.
He used to play in games with Cal Ripken, pickup games. Cal let him play in those games.
This big too for a small.
Yeah,
guy.
well,
Huge.
whatever. Now, the salary cap is the better question here. And yeah, it's going to come up. And I understand fans in low revenue cities get frustrated. They've been frustrated with some of the things I've been writing and whatever. That happens. I get it. At the same time, the Players Union, of which you guys both were members, has historically opposed the cap vehemently. And they believe, the players do, that the free market is the best way to have this sport run. Now you can say, and people do say, that it's unfair. It is unfair from a payroll disparity perspective. There's no question about that. Some teams simply cannot spend as much as others. And I heard this pointed out on an NFL broadcast the other day. You can get in the NFL Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and Josh Allen in Buffalo, and it works because the revenue is based on national television income, not locally generated revenue. Okay, all that is true. However, we have seen in baseball over the years, teams like Tampa Bay, even Oakland for a good amount of time, Cleveland, I can go right down the line. All these low revenue teams have had success for sustained periods. They weren't able to prolong it forever like the Dodgers, but we've also seen teams like the Mets, Padres, and Yankees last season spend a ton of money and not have success. So I will say that the problem is severe in terms of how much money can be spent. I don't know that anyone would dispute that. I don't know that the competitive problem is quite as acute. Now, I was speaking with a low revenue executive a couple of days ago, and he said, okay, we've survived to an extent for this long, but over the next 10 years, the way things are going, with Steve Cohen, with the Dodgers, with the Yankees spending again, he thinks the disparity is going to get so great and so vast that the low revenue teams are going to be in a horrible competitive position. That might be true. But again, this sport has survived just fine without a cap. It's not going to get a cap without another work stoppage, and I don't even know if then the players would ever agree or consent to that.
All right, Ken, we know you got to go, but real quick, we have the actual audio of what Bob said, so we don't have to rely on AJ. Let's take a listen.
No.
And as long as AJ knows, as long as Kenny is still around doing his great stuff, there's still somebody, if we get a pickup basketball game going, that I can post up. So that makes me feel good.
Hey, we've got him on tomorrow. I'm going to make sure that comes up. I promise that will come up tomorrow.
He takes it well, and so do I.
I mean, there's no disputing what he's saying. There's no question about that. He could post me up. Now, the one thing that was exaggerated a little bit was the line, he'll post your ass up. I don't believe that's how Bob put it.
Hey, let's not let the facts get in the way of a better story, okay, Ken?
Understood, AJ.
You rely on the facts. I'll play other reporters and not rely and pretend Shohei signed with Toronto, okay?
Oh, God. Okay. Ken, thanks for being such a good sport. We know you're busy breaking trades, breaking all kinds of stuff. So thanks for hanging with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Britt. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, when we come back, plenty more trade rumors, plus Russell Dorsey at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned.
So can you bring them anything to, for a little more like, F you should be scared of us. We're coming after you.
I'm sure there's going to be some things that just happen, naturally as things go on, as the season goes on. But you're looking at the group, those young kids, they got some guys who've sat here the last couple of years, and you had Yachty and Albert, Albert chasing 700 and, doing his thing, retirement for Yachty. And then this year it was, about Adam, chasing 200 wins and doing stuff like that. So a lot of these guys haven't even, when they go into a season, there's been personal milestones on the table for people and all that. And, I think this year you're looking at getting back to what it's about. Obviously you want to send those guys off, and those guys were, great players, and you want them to hit all their milestones and do all those things. But a lot of these kids have to learn how to be a team and stuff like that, because they didn't have those opportunities early on in their career. So hopefully, bringing in guys like myself, Sonny Gray, and Kyle, we can push things where we can get guys to become themselves, become similar, personality wise and stuff like that, and take that next step because there's talent there. I think that was the frustration all along last year was a lot of talented players just didn't perform. So hopefully we can come in as starters and fill the gap there with some innings. Bullpen kind of falls into place once starters throw their innings and do the things they need to do, and then give the offense some slack where you got the guys obviously we got Nato and Goldie up there doing their thing, but the other kids can fill in around them and come in their own and become the players they're capable of. And a lot of that comes with being able to be their own person. And being okay with it and kind of creating a vibe around the clubhouse where it's fun to see what guys' personalities are and see how they all can intertwine in a 26-man roster.
And now back to Foul Territory.
All right, guys, we are back on FT. We have our poll question of the day for you. You can scan on your phone on the screen, or you can go to your browser, type in watchstadium.com/foul territory to play along. Today's poll question, pretty much all anyone wants to know right now, right? Which is which team is going to sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Mets, or other. I kind of like other right now. AJ, you have a certain inkling as to where this is going to go. This feels like mystery team written all over it.
No, this sounds like Dodgers are going to spend more money and get them. I mean, they're like we talk about super teams, and I know it doesn't guarantee them winning a World Series, but they are trying to get everybody.
I'm thinking other. I'm thinking Yankees. I'm going to stay East Coast. I feel
Oh gosh,
everything's been out on the West Coast. I feel like something needs to come back to the East Coast here to kind of even it out a little bit. So I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm.
Frazier, I don't know. Some guy named Juan Soto went from the West Coast to the East Coast. He's not that big of a deal.
No. It just geared back to the West. We need it back to the East again. Nobody's talking about Juan anymore. They're talking about
He's old news. He's old news.
Whatever team gets him, though, feels like they're going to be the super team, right? If the Dodgers get him, they're going to be the big bad Dodgers. If the Yankees get him, we're talking about how they're the Yankees of the late 90s, early 2000s again, right? That it seems like he can really shift the whole race of certain divisions depending on where he goes.
Yeah,
Giants. Don't forget the Giants. We talked about him yesterday. Giants. Don't forget the Giants.
For what he did in Japan, I mean, this is the biggest guy coming out of there right now. So it's fun to watch. This offseason's been great just because of the single fact these free agents a couple of them are coming back, are coming to America and wanting to play in Major League Baseball. So Giants just made a big move with Kim, and now it's like, here we go. Like, when is he going to sign? Who's he going to sign with? I don't know. I heard he's got a meeting with the Phillies coming up, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to sound silly, but that's the last thing I heard. So he's moving around. He's bringing his resume to every team that's interested, it seems like. So we'll see. We'll see where he goes.
If he signs with the Phillies, there you go. There's a possibility of another super team, right? Because right now the four of the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, and Braves, right, would be the four teams that we would probably say are ahead of everybody just on paper right now. So if you throw Yamamoto on top in the Phillies with Nola, Wheeler, Ranger, Suarez, that lineup, oh boy.
Totally. Blue Jays, Red Sox also interested as well. So it's going to be fascinating. We're going to get into that more with Russ Dorsey in a few minutes. But guys, I want to get back to what Ken was talking about with the Royals, because it's not often on off-season shows we talk about the Kansas City Royals. But they're sizzling. They're heating up. I was talking to an executive that said it's like the trade deadline around here. I haven't gotten off my phone in 3 days. This is the Kansas City Royals. I mean, these aren't huge headline Yamamoto Ohtani moves, but I think Seth Lugo was an underrated acquisition. I think he's one of the better mid to back end rotation guys who were available. As Ken said, the Waka deal has a lot of upside as well. Then today they signed Hunter Renfroe to a 1-year deal with a player option for a 2nd year, and they're not done. So how do you guys view where Kansas City is? I think a lot of people in the industry really excited about what GM JJ Picollo has been able to do. There's a lot of internal optimism in that organization that they are getting back to the winning ways of the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, and you think about this too. The biggest one they did was Seth Lugo for $40-something million, 3-year deal. And AJ hit on this, last time we talked about it. He said, "Listen, it's not the big trade they're getting. They're not. It's not going to wow you, but it's like, yeah, all right, that's a really good trade, Seth Lugo. I mean, Hunter Renfroe, he's no slouch. I mean, they're getting guys that are going to come in here and be productive and play. Seth Lugo, man, he's not injury prone. He's ready to come in, and they're doing some things here that, if I'm in Kansas City, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, this is a good start. We like this is about time we're mixing it in here. And you think, like, why are these guys signing? Well, you think Seth Lugo, that's probably from the teams that wanted him. We talked about the Red Sox are one. Money has something to do with it. Let's be frank there. I mean, Seth Lugo is not a young puppy. He's still in a prime. He's got a couple years left, and I think that's why he did it. But Hunter Renfroe, were there other teams trying to get him? Maybe, maybe not. So it's like those things in the free agents time. As I got older in free agency, it seemed like people were signing later and later. It's like, you know what? If this team wants to, give me a chance, I'm not waiting anymore. Give me an opportunity. And this is what the Royals are doing, giving guys opportunities to come in, especially older players, to get out there and prove themselves again.
Don't forget Chris Stratton, who was a good pitcher for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Right? Garrett Hampson is a good utility guy. Then you had Bobby Witt, who's the cornerstone of the organization. Salvador Perez can still DH/catch. Melendez and Wright is a pretty good player. I mean, they have some pieces now, so they're starting to kind of add. This reminds me of like the 2013, 12, 13 Royals before, obviously, 14 they lost the World Series, 15 they won it. But they're building. And the key piece, Britt and Todd, is some lefty reliever. I can't remember his name. He's won 3 World Series in a row on 3 different. Oh, Will Smith. That's right. Will Smith.
Yes.
Oh, he's there. So guess what? Your Royals on BetMGM are the favorite to win the World Series this year.
It's amazing. Vinny Pasquantino, too, should be back next year.
Vinny, yeah.
He's a good piece as well. But, I mean, you guys have been in clubhouses. Let's say they extend Bobby Witt Jr., like Ken said. I mean, what can that do for the guys in that clubhouse, do you think? Like, how much would that be a morale booster to, like, we are in it. We are committed to some of this young talent.
Yeah, I think it shows you they're committed, of course. I think it's a move that they haven't done in a long time. Besides, I think Salvador Perez was the last one, but goes to show you they're committed to their players. If you do well, good things most likely will happen. And we're not trying to be in the basement anymore, in the cellar. We're not trying to be that team anymore. We're trying to put up a squad here that's going to go out there and give, a good shot, maybe be a 500 team this year, maybe go out and, prove themselves that they can get to the top of the division. It's one of those things where the more pieces they get, little, like I call them dinks and dunks. I don't know any other words for it, but you dink one, you dunk one, bring them in, and you never know what can happen. And I think the more they bring in, the better. And it's not like they're breaking the bank either. So I think this is a fun time to be Kansas City Royal. Are they going to win a World Series? Most likely not. But they're going to go out there and it's going to be a battle. They're going to battle each team.
Well, they also have trade chips, right? I mean, listen, as a White Sox fan, I've heard it since they hired Chris Getz and Pedro Grifol that, we're going to trade for Salvador Perez. They're not going to trade Salvador Perez now because now they're actually have a chance to compete. But if they sign Bobby Witt, and also what this does for the Royals and their fans is it gives Bobby Witt hope that the team will sign players and they will go out and try to win if they can lock him up and make him the core and the basically the face of the franchise after Salvi retires. So this is a positive sign for the Royals, for the organization, for their fan base, for the city. And also, like we just talked about with Ken, the AL Central, let's be honest, it ain't that good. So guess what? They get a couple more little dinks and dunks that Todd calls them. They got a chance to possibly compete for the AL Central. You get into you get into July, you got a chance. Make another trade. Bring in more pieces. It's just because the division is this weak that they're able to do this. And you look at them, you go, if they were in the AL East, or you'd be like, okay, well, man, what are they doing? But because they're in the AL Central, you think, all right, they got a chance.
And seeing these trades happen, it makes for other guys to be like, well, why are they going to Kansas City? What is going on in there? There's something stirring over there where, maybe if I'm debating on going to one team or another, I kind of lean towards Kansas City and see what the heck's going on over there. So good for them. Kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the Tigers, Jack Flaherty, 1 year, $14 million, clearly looking for a bounce back, guys. He hasn't really been that guy since 2019. I was a little sticker shocked by the 14 mil. Like, is that the going rate now for guys who really have struggled for the last couple of years? I guess so, right? I mean, you
Hey,
have
that's what they're paying you, Britt.
There's no
Yeah,
such
I
thing as a
mean,
bad 1-year deal.
for a couple more mil, I would have taken Severino on a 1-year deal, you know? So, I mean, this to me is high upside. If Chris Fetter, the Tigers pitching coach, can unlock something. The Orioles thought they could unlock something when they got him at the trade deadline, and he was terrible. Yay or nay on this one, guys?
I think they're going about what he has done in the past. It's one of those things where, when he was with the Cardinals, he was pretty darn good. He struggled late there, struggled again when he got traded to the Orioles. And it's just one of those things. I think you look back in the past, can I get this guy to where he can be dominant again? I think of Ronaldo Lopez. He's a reliever and a starter. You think the Braves, why did the Braves pick him up? Because they want him to be that dominant starter again. So it's an opportunity for him. This is his big shot here. I think this is it. He's got to come out here and do his best, or it's pretty much minor league deals after that. He's got to come out and go out and dominate. And, they're hoping for a dominant performance from him this year. I could see it happening. I definitely could. Tinker with a few things. Maybe there was something he was doing in his mechanics and go from there.
The problem is that 14 million is a big, like Britt said, that's a big price tag. And you saw him in Baltimore. He was awful. He couldn't even get on the mound. Basically in September, he didn't even pitch.
He wasn't on the playoff roster.
Yeah, exactly. And Detroit, God bless them for 14 million. Let's not forget they went out and got Kenta Maeda. They brought back Andrew Chafin, who was a really nice piece for him a few years back. Again, this goes back to the Tigers think they're climbing, much like the Royals. Now, the Tigers have better pitching in Skubal, and hopefully Mize comes back and some other guys. But again, because of the weak AL Central, they're like, man, if we can just figure out something with Jack Flaherty, unlock it, he can give us 180 innings and win 10 games for us, we got a shot to compete in this division. And that's what this signing says to me, is the Tigers really think they have a shot in this division.
Totally. All right, guys, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, Russell Dorsey, Stadium Insider, is going to give us the latest on the Yamamoto trade, plus what's going on with the White Sox.
It's a standing joke among network broadcasters, and it goes like this. Fans hearing exactly the same words, but seeing it through the prism of their own fandom and comparing it understandably to their local announcers, who are going to be much more excited when their team does something well. Hearing exactly the same words, fans of both teams infer a bias, but none of us has ever heard from a fan who said something like this. I live in Tacoma. I'm a fan of the Mariners. They're not involved. I just wanted to see a good game, but I really was offended by how biased you were toward one team or another. It simply doesn't happen. And here's a story I've told a number of times. In 1986, before cell phones and before the internet, the Red Sox are playing the Mets in a memorable World Series. And the greatest of the great, Vin Scully, is calling it, along with Joe Garagiola on NBC. And the NBC switchboard at the affiliate in Boston logs 800 calls of complaint that they're being unfair to the Red Sox. At the same time, 1,000 calls of complaint come to the NBC station in New York. And the difference is accounted for, I would guess, by the fact that New York has a larger population. And also back then, things used to be a toll call. So it was a local call to New York. So in any case, there you have it. Vin Scully was biased against both teams. But somebody watching in St. Louis didn't think that at all. And that's the way it always goes. And something else that people don't take into account, when you're just talking about the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks scored 6 runs off Kershaw in the top of the first. They're down 6-0 before they bat for the first time. They're down 9-0 before they bat in the second. In the second game, the D-backs scored 3 in the top of the first. There was never a time when the Dodgers were in either of those games. And when someone hits a home run or does something great for the visiting team, and all you've got is a disappointed murmur in the crowd, instinctively the announcer, no matter who he is, doesn't have to raise his voice and sound all out excited. It would sound weird. So, I get what it is, and there are some criticisms you have to take to heart. This isn't one of them.
And now, back to Foul Territory.
Welcome back to FT. Britt Ghiroli guest hosting for Scott Braun. Here with AJ Pierzynski, Todd Frazier, and Russ Dorsey, who is everywhere. Stadium, Bali, Apple. Happy belated birthday, Russ.
You know, inflation the way it is, you got to keep a job or two. You know how it goes.
It's true. I've seen those grocery prices. Oh God. How do people have multiple kids? AJ?
I have multiple kids. The problem is when I go out to eat with Russ, he never pays, so it only inflate. The only inflation is on my end.
True.
Wow.
Are you going to continue to come on your platform, AJ, and lie to the people?
I don't lie.
Man.
You don't
Get it straight, Russ. Get it straight, Russ. Tell him.
You don't truth. Todd, you let this dude do this to you?
No, never.
Todd won't go to dinner with me. Todd won't go to dinner with me.
Sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go. No
expense.
kids.
Oh God.
Russ, how about them Bears? 5 and 8, they're coming.
Hey, you see the in the hunt column now? The beloved right there on the side. Who would have thought? Lose your first 4 games and then 5 and 8. Everybody just say, "Oh my God, they could." No, they can't. They can't. They cannot.
They're just teasing you. They're just teasing you.
But in the hunt, though, we should get in the hunt T-shirts.
Yes.
Russ, I want to talk to you. That's in the hunt. I remember it's just funny because why do they even put those teams there? It never really happens.
No, you're not going to make it.
Just to tease you. Let me ask you this. I want to get back to baseball here. I love your tweet the other day about Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman. We're all there, and Shohei, we're all there for the Yamamoto talks and when their representatives are there. I think that is a monster move. I absolutely love that move, to be honest. I mean, talk about putting a little pressure on somebody to come over and play for the squad. Three or four of some of the best baseball players. Dodgers are changing the game here, man, with everything. Talk to us about that and just explain to us how that's such a gutsy move right there.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I had reported that the meeting was going to happen. And at that time, I didn't know all the guys who were going to be there yet. Knew a few, was trying to get a couple of confirmations, waiting to report. Ken and Fobs got me. Shout out to those guys. They sometimes you get beat. But to your point, Todd, I think when you land the big guy in Shohei Ohtani, I think for any team, this is kind of what you were hoping for because you would probably have the inside track to a guy like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, right? To be able to say, all right, we got our 3 MVPs that we can bring to this meeting, his potential backstop and Will Smith, maybe a couple more guys in there, Andrew Friedman, front office, Dave Roberts, who was already in there with Shohei Ohtani. And it's a great pitch. Southern California, it sells itself. And then to be able to have some of the best players in the world, including Shohei Ohtani, saying, hey, man, I came over here for a reason. You want to compete for the next 10 years for World Series titles, come on over to the Dodgers. So I think for the Dodgers, this is what they wanted. They've been thinking about this for the last 2 seasons, kind of clearing the deck for Shohei, able to land Shohei and then say, all right, with the way we have things working for us in our favor right now, with the way the money is going to work out over the next 10 years, we can go out and get a guy like a Tyler Glasnow, right? You can go and say, we're still on Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Because last week I had reported at the winter meetings that while they were still chasing Shohei, who was their primary target, they were still in on Dylan Cease, right? They're still in on Yamamoto. They're still in on a guy like a Josh Hader for their bullpen. So it's a good spot to be in if you're Andrew Friedman, where you could say, look, I have all my irons in the fire, and I expect that I'm going to get 2, maybe even 3 of those targets.
So I just got a text here. The Phillies are meeting them. So Bryce Harper is going to be on that meeting. Real Muto, all the big guys. I mean,
if the Dodgers are bringing out their big dogs, you got to bring out your big dogs.
Why wouldn't any other team do this? I think this is such a smart move. I think what happens if that does? I mean, this is crazy. You don't see this stuff happening all the time. And I was saying before, this is why this free agency is so cool. You got some big names, and we don't know where they're going. They're meeting with people. Money's being deferred like we've never seen before. Like, this is unbelievable.
It reminds me, Todd, of basketball, right? And I think NBA's free agency is the best in all of sports because you have these free agents that you have the recruiting team. Like, who's there? I remember when I was a kid and LeBron James, before he went to Miami, was like, ooh, could LeBron come to the Bulls? Is D-Rose going to be in that meeting? And now you're seeing it in baseball where it's like, all right, if the Dodgers got Mookie and Freddie Freeman and they got Shohei in there, all right, Bryce, you go fly in. JT, we need you in here. Aaron Nola, we need you in here. Right? Maybe get Miles Teller in there to be in that meeting. Like, get anybody you can. Jason Kelsey, somebody to help us land these marquee free agents.
Russ, I was part of that LeBron thing with the White Sox. They came
Well,
to us
you
and asked us
failed.
to do.
You failed.
I mean, we were like, come to Chicago. We were all dressed up like White Sox, and they put it like in a video. And I mean, it wasn't like I was in on the meeting. I was the third person from the right on the decision, Russ. So he looked right at me. He was like, "Yeah, we're not going to Chicago. I'm going to Miami."
Paul Konerko, Joe Creedy, y'all failed in bringing LeBron here.
Hey, we got Jimmy Butler there, and you guys traded him. What do you want me to do? But let's go to another Chicago loser franchise, the Cubs. Your favorites.
I don't have a favorite. Stop saying that.
Why have they done nothing? Why have they not done anything at all this offseason? They were supposed to be in on Ohtani. They're supposed to be in on this guy and that guy. And we keep hearing Bellinger and this and that, but they have done absolutely zero this offseason.
It's interesting because they kind of set the tone for the offseason, right? You make the move away from David Ross. You hire Craig Counsell to be your manager. And we came on here and talked about it right after. Like, okay, the Cubs are saying, we're not playing games anymore. We're in our window. And then it's been crickets over there on the north side so far. Obviously, they were a player for Ohtani early. You heard their name a lot in the Yamamoto talks, but that's kind of quieted here as of late. And now you look at it and say, is their big move re-signing Cody Bellinger? And I think a lot of Cubs fans here and who are often in my DMs and mentions like, why aren't the Cubs doing anything? I think when you take a look at the guy running things in Jed Hoyer, he was in Chicago as a GM with Theo Epstein, his guy, when he was president of baseball operations. And they did throw money at a lot of different things. And they won a World Series. But then you look at the years that followed that. And I think a lot of people said, okay, this should last for a while. And it didn't. And because of that, I think Jed goes into this now that he's the president and says, I want to build this thing the right way. And maybe we can't, go out and get the big free agent every offseason. And I know a lot of people say you should because you're Chicago Cubs. And I think there is some truth to that. But to be able to be methodical in building your franchise and building your farm system so that you have sustained success, I don't think there is bad logic in that. But I think people here in Chicago want to see the Cubs be at the big kids table again.
That being said, though, Russ, there's just not that many free agents. So if the Cubs aren't going to swim in the deep waters here for these top fish, this is a bad free agent class if you're trying to wait it out. So to me, I'm not really sure if this is like a great strategy because they have that momentum. Like you said, you're going to pay Craig Counsell $40 million and then you're going to try to re-sign Cody Bellinger, who I think is going to get more money than people anticipate because there's not a lot of bats out there, right? So it's so interesting to me. And I mean, with the White Sox, is their move to wait until Yamamoto and Blake Snell come off the board and then maximize a guy like Dylan Cease? I mean, what are we anticipating here from the White Sox, and what can they do to maybe start to turn this thing around here a little bit besides trading Cease? Is there anything else that they can do?
Well, they were talking with the Dodgers, at the winter meetings about Dylan Cease. Now, obviously, that's before they were able to go out and get Shohei Ohtani.
All right. A cliffhanger. All right. Well, I think Dylan Cease, though, he's going to command a ton because everyone who misses out on Yamamoto that wants to make a splash is going to say, we gotta trade and get someone.
Yeah, but who are the teams that are left? Who are the teams that are willing to do it? That's
the
all.
Orioles need a guy. The Blue Jays need to make a splash.
The Orioles, Britt, come on. The Orioles, they had a chance. They should have done it last year at the trade deadline. They didn't do it.
Totally agree with you, AJ. I gave that trade deadline a big fat F, and it ended up being
a big fat sweep. It ended up being a big fat sweep is what it ended up being.
Give it an S for a sweep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no. There's some pressure on some of these teams.
I can't see the White Sox trading him to the Cubs. Maybe. They've done it before, but, I don't know that's going to happen. The Red Sox, maybe. But the Red Sox they're another team like the Cubs. They haven't done anything this offseason at all. And they're a team that everyone's like, oh, they got money. They're going to go. And they got Craig Breslow, new GM, no more Chaim Bloom. We're going to be aggressive. And then nothing.
The Giants? I mean, don't the Giants need a star?
But do they have the players to
Who-
trade back though?
Yeah.
They really don't. But like Lee isn't enough to it's a nice signing, but that's not going to get people to come to the stadium.
We've
Not-
talked about this for 2 days. They need 2 more. They need Bellinger and maybe Yamamoto. They need more, and it's
Not many
just
people
hard.
want to go there anymore either. I mean,
No.
we've said that before too. The area is not good. It just I don't know. When I play, I like playing there, but after the 3 days, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get the heck out of there. I don't know what it was. There was some stadiums like that. I was like that. But to go back to your Orioles point, they got the prospects, man. Why wouldn't the Orioles take a dive on something like this and trade, one of their better prospects?
I think they should, guys. And if they don't go out and make a big move, they will be panned, at least
Well,
by
they
me.
should.
I'm not,
They
I'm not
they
sure.
should.
I'm
They
not sure
should
by
is the
anyone
big word.
else. But look, you have no payroll. And, I've heard from agents complaining that the Orioles are, kind of dumpster diving already, which is disheartening to hear, right? You should be going after these top guys. They can afford these top guys with
Exactly.
that payroll. They're paying no one right now. But, all right, fine. You want to build this thing for the long haul. That's fine. They have too many prospects. Not all these guys can play next year. You have to trade some of these guys away. And what you need to do is upgrade that rotation. No question about it. Anyone who watched that series against the Rangers was like, wow, the Orioles don't have any pitching. So in my mind, guys, they have to get Cease or a Corbin Burns. Or, the Breslow signing was nice, and we're going to talk to Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles later on. But, I know that clubhouse was disappointed with the trade deadline. I had a guy say to me, well, this was better than nothing. But, was it? Maybe slightly better than nothing?
Yeah.
That they acquired 2 names, neither of whom were on the playoff roster, right? So, not to get on my soapbox here, but the Orioles have a window, and I feel like sometimes they take it for granted. Oh, we're going to be good for 10 years. You might not be good for 10 years. The Chicago Cubs say hi. And with that, let's bring back in Russell to talk to us about the Chicago Cubs.
Russ's favorite team.
I mean,
Hey, Russ isn't going to come back on here if you keep saying
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Here's
he
my
has
thing,
to. He doesn't
AJ.
have a choice. He has to.
No,
You say that
can
you're
rip
my
it up.
friend, AJ. You say you're my friend, yet you come on here. Your friend's a national reporter, and you say he has a favorite team. It's not the case.
Hey, I'm a national reporter, and people say I have 29 favorite teams. I hate their team.
What?
Listen, anyway, to Britt's point about the Chicago Cubs, I think she made all the right points. You like the hand motions. I know you do.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I think for the Chicago Cubs, to Britt's point, it is a bad market, especially for position players. And I think for them, unlike the last 4 or 5 years when we've seen absolute monsters on the free agent market, they have to decide if the guy that they made the correct bet on in Cody Bellinger is the guy they want to give $275 million to, right? That's a question that they, Carter Hawkins and Jed Hoyer have to ask themselves. Also, they've been able to fill up their farm system over the last 3 years. So maybe they're a team that's going to have to find their needs in the trade market. I think that's something that's possible as well. So to go to the other side, to the Chicago White Sox, as I mentioned before, they were a team that was talking to the Dodgers about Dylan Cease at the winter meetings last week. Now, obviously, it didn't materialize, but they were at least engaged. And I think for the White Sox, we're talking about dominoes, right? It's something that everybody talked about throughout the offseason until Shohei signed, then you'd get a Yamamoto signing, and then Blake Snell, and then Glasnow, and then Dylan Cease. And I think for the White Sox, it's what do you want? And from everything I've been told over the last 2 weeks or so, it's pitching for the Chicago White Sox. They don't have enough young starting pitching. And so in any move for Dylan Cease, who's a guy with a couple years of club control left, that's what the White Sox are going to be looking for. And I think now that you've had the domino of Tyler Glasnow now fall as well, I think after Yamamoto signs, I don't think, Blake Snell will stop them from being engaged with teams in the trade market.
Interesting. I mean,
who's more valuable?
Yeah,
Burns or Cease? Because those are the 2 names for trades, right?
Yeah.
Burns and Cease are the 2 big names. So who's more valuable?
Ooh.
Cease to me because of the club control, right? I think if you're a team that's going in on Corbin Burns, you're probably in your winning window and say, all right, let's hit on this season, try to convince him to stay, and hopefully have him re-sign in free, after the season ends in free agency. I think for Dylan Cease, to Britt's point, a team like the Baltimore Orioles, right? That seems like the perfect fit for a guy that could be at the top of your rotation, change of scenery guy. It's a guy that we've seen, be a runner-up for the AL Cy Young Award and has maybe the nastiest stuff in the big league. So I think Chris Getz is going to be, his phone's been ringing off the hook, and I think it will continue until they decide they have the right move for Cease.
I just think honestly, after all is said and done, once Yamamoto goes, these other teams, if they don't do, whether they do something or not, it's not even going to be that big. It's like, all right, well, we got this guy, but we could have gotten this guy. I don't know. This Cubs, the Red Sox, I mean, the Orioles. I'm just thinking of teams. I don't think it's ever going to be enough for the team, for the fan base, for the city as of right now, considering what's been going on.
And listen to those teams you just listed, Ty. You're talking about huge monster markets, Boston, Chicago. Like, these are teams that should be involved with names like the Dodgers. I think a team that I'm also interested in, that we talk about the AL East, is the Toronto Blue Jays, right? Yeah. I'm so curious as to what they look like. Like, they were a team last week at the winter meetings. They were in on everybody. If you talk to somebody, you're like, yo, Blue Jays are in. But now that you don't land Shohei, right, and you don't land Juan Soto, what is their backup plan? Because they're a team that's kind of always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Like, they remind me of the Buffalo Bills in that we continue to think that they're going to be here, yet when the season's over, they're more down here. And so what's that move for the Blue Jays that takes them to that level and those expectations where we thought they would be at?
Hey, so real quick, last thing for me, your birthday just happened. How old are you?
29.
Stop it.
29.
You're only 29 years old, man. God, I thought you were like 35, 36. My bad, bro. My bad.
No. So it's crazy. So I was in 5th grade when AJ and those boys won the World Series.
Damn. Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Smart man. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Well, thanks so much, Russ.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you. Appreciate you dealing with us. All right, we got a break. We'll be back in just a few on FT.
There you go. Oh, there we are again. Now here's the deal, right? This is not a pathetic pitch. It's just a little high and wide. And then the second pitch is a plate-splitting strike. What's the problem? Half the baseball world is on my ass about it. What's the problem? And here's the thing. Look, Fred Bird's on the field, a bunch of people. This is not the true ceremonial first pitch, like 2 seconds before the game begins. This is like 45 minutes before the game begins, because we were filming something for the Chamber of Commerce, some like St. Louis deal. And the idea was John Goodman like throws it from across town to me, and then I catch it. And then after you catch it, it goes across town to John Hamm. All these people, Ozzie Smith, all these people connected to St. Louis. The internet jumped me like I had torn up the basic agreement and ended Major League Baseball.
You're the only guy in the history of the world that could throw a first pitch and have it be that bad, like 50 Cent, and not get booed off the field, and then get a second chance and throw a perfect strike. And of course, in St. Louis, they're all like, we don't even remember the first one. We're just going to cheer. And by the way, speaking of that, you and Billy Crystal, I don't know Billy Crystal, but I'm pissed at both of y'all because you both roasted me for missing it on that show you guys did together where it was Bob and Billy. You guys were talking about first pitches, and you're like, oh, the catcher, Pierzynski, he made me look horrible. It's his fault.
I think Billy said that, not me, and I just agreed because what the hell? I didn't know you'd find out about it. But here, let's before we get to something that really matters. 50 Cent throws the ball into the ground like the mayor of Cincinnati. I got it there. Right? I was, by the way, you're talking about a 62-year-old guy in street clothes from the rubber, not the front of the mound. So now, right after this happens, I fly to LA, and some guy from TMZ is there. Did I freeze here? No, okay. Some guy from TMZ is there at the baggage carousel where they stalk people. And he comes up to me with the camera, and he goes, how come you get 2 pitches and 50 Cent only gets 1? And I say, if you saw his pitch, if he got 50 chances, he couldn't throw a strike. I just needed 1 extra chance, and I did. Next day on TMZ, Costas disses 50 Cent.
And now, back to foul territory.
All right, welcome back, Foul Territory. We have our poll results from earlier in the show. Everyone wants to know, where will Yamamoto sign? And unfortunately, most people agree with AJ. The Dodgers are currently in first place. New York Mets in second, followed by the Chicago Cubs and other So, Todd, you also had the Yankees. So, I mean, me and you kind of on the outside thinking that maybe a team not listed would be someone to swoop in. AJ, take your victory lap now.
Orioles.
No.
Hey, why wouldn't you pick the Dodgers, especially after everything that's gone down? That's true. Hey, listen, I wouldn't be surprised. Would not
Britt,
be
we did a spin the wheel yesterday, and a couple of the free agent guys came up, and we were kind of searching for teams because it's always like Dodgers, Giants, Mets, Yankees, Cubs. And I said, the team that's sneaky about things like this, like a Matt Chapman, would be the Nats because they did the Jason Worth, remember, and then they got hot and won a World Series. So I don't know. And not saying they're going to sign Yamamoto, but for some of these other guys, the Nats well, they do some sneaky around the corner kind of deals, and boom, all of a sudden they're good.
Yeah, they do some sneaky stuff. So, and I think they want to add some big league talent. They feel like, 2025 is probably the year that they're going to really start to say, let's compete. But, they've got some young guys that are getting better and coming up. And I think the key for them is going to be Kate Ghiroli coming back from Tommy John surgery, how he progresses. James Wood, who is the real prize in that Soto trade. I wrote this, but so many people told AJ Preller, don't include him in the package for Soto. There was a lot of people that wanted them to keep James Wood. And, Mike Rizzo fought hard and they got those 5 prospects and James Wood was one of them. He's going to be a star, a lot of people think as well. So wouldn't surprise me. The only holdup, guys, is the ownership situation because are the learners going to sell? And if they're not going to sell, what's the payroll going to be? There's so much confusion. And I know that it makes Mike Rizzo's job a lot harder because he's not certain what the 2, 3, 4, 5-year plan can be because he doesn't know who his boss is going to be, quite frankly, or what the limits are going to be on the payroll. So they're an interesting team, but they're a team that I feel like probably needs a little clarity on the ownership front. I wish MLB would step in and say, you're either selling or you're not. I don't know how they allow these teams to operate in the gray area.
So real quick, you said till 2025. So the Mets and Nationals next year aren't going to win many games. So there you go.
Yes. Yes. All right, guys, we are switching over from Stadium to YouTube. Join us next hour. We have Ryan Mountcastle and Nick Allen.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Foul Territory here on Friday. Britt Ghiroli filling in for Scott Braun. Here with AJ Pierzynski, Todd Frazier. We'll be joined by Orioles outfielder Ryan Mountcastle in a few minutes. The Oakland A's, Nick Allen, a little bit later on in the show. But guys, it's not often that we hear someone say something that's like not super nice about Shohei Ohtani. But that's exactly what Arizona Diamondbacks principal owner Ken Kendrick did earlier in the week when talking to reporters. He really didn't hold back in saying, Ohtani's good, but he's going to be a DH next year. And none of that is untrue. But when you read these kind of comments, are we seeing that Arizona is maybe tired of being little brother here and trying to maybe put up some bulletin board material for the Dodgers as we sit here in December?
You don't hear it from owners, Britt, right? You don't hear it from owners. Now, you might hear
Like
this from
this.
players, and you might hear it from maybe a GM every once in a while, but to have an owner say this is refreshing. I like it. Listen, right now he's got the bragging rights. They swept the Dodgers right out of the playoffs last year, went to the World Series. So the Diamondbacks have the bragging rights right now, and they went out, got Eduardo Rodriguez, right? They traded for he's the guy from Mariners. Jerry
Kelenic?
No, third
Oh,
baseman.
you're right. I didn't get Jerry Kelenic. Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, Suarez.
Yes,
Sorry.
Suarez.
I blanked right there. But, yeah, so they're making moves because they're trying to build on what they did. They're like, we have Merrill Kelly, we have Zach Allen, now we have Erod. And then if Fott does what he did in the postseason with Sewald in the back end of their bullpen, the Diamondbacks are going to be tough. So Kendrick's like, yeah, go ahead and waste your $68 million, $70 million down the road. We're going to stick with our team, steal bases, and it's refreshing to hear an owner talk trash.
But he is right. He's going to be a DH next year.
But he's a pretty damn good DH, and I want to know, we need to track what Ohtani's numbers are against the Diamondbacks next year.
It's going to be fun.
Ooh, yeah, definitely have to. I mean, you look at a guy like Kendrick, and, he said they're going to have the biggest payroll in Diamondbacks history. It's still going to be small by most team standards, but hey, they're trying. The Royals are trying. I think this is all pretty good for the game.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very good for the game. You're hearing people speak out that really haven't. There's crazy signings going on. It's just what's next? You know what I mean? I'm sitting here ready to go. What's next? I can't wait for tomorrow. It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We are joined right now by Baltimore Orioles Ryan Mountcastle, perfect game player of the week. Joins us to talk a little hot stove. Ryan, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, what's up? How you guys doing?
Everybody's good, man. Everybody's good. How's the offseason treating you? Anything different this year? I mean, talk to us a little about last year and how much fun it was and what you're looking forward to this upcoming year.
Yeah, last year was sick. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected us to, have the best record in the American League. It was a lot of fun. Super young crew, and definitely a great time. And, I like the little Orioles masher right there. Appreciate that. But no, it was a good time this off season. Just working out, doing my thing, and not changing up too much.
Ryan, you're in Orlando, right? Are you in Orlando?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm Orlando.
I mean, look, I got extra space. You could have just come right over.
Yeah.
You could have sat next to me either side. I mean, I know I'm all the way on the other side of town from where you're from, and it's like it takes you like 2 hours because we don't go to that side of town unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
But, you could have made a special trip over here.
Come on. I didn't catch an invite. Unbelievable.
Ryan, he could have came to you too, bud. Tell him.
That's true too.
Yeah, but I got all the fancy equipment, right? He's on a laptop or an iPad. I got all these cameras and junk around here.
You got like a 4K camera going on. I'm a little fuzzy compared to you.
I got lights and all.
Yeah.
Scott's usually here. He does my makeup.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I might need to do some too.
Let me ask you this. Go ahead, Britt. You go ahead.
No,
Britt.
Ryan, it's just, AJ likes to make fun of me because I am based in Baltimore. As you know, I've been around the Orioles a lot.
Yeah.
But this year's group was so much fun. It seemed like they all very much got along. So I want to know, who's pulling the pranks behind the scenes? I mean, I know Kyle Gibson was a big part of that clubhouse, but who kind of made sure that you guys became that unit and really, I mean, watching you guys was very much seemed like a family, from the bullpen to kind of the antics that took place, with the homer hose. I mean, who's responsible for all this stuff?
Yeah, bringing in some of the veteran guys, like you said, Gibby and McCann and Frazier, those guys. I mean, they were great to have around, and definitely, brought a little fun into the clubhouse. And I mean, just being a young crew, these younger guys like to have fun too, a lot of energy, and they like to bring it every day as well, and get our work done, but at the same time have fun while we're doing it.
Let me ask you this: you got a lot of young guys that are coming up. I know you're a young guy too as well, but talk about every time a new guy came in, he did something special. It just seemed like everybody was included. There wasn't anybody that seemed like they're a little, ahead of themselves. They came out and just dominated. And you got a lot of younger guys coming up as well. Talk to us about those guys and what you look forward to them coming this upcoming year as well.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, I feel old in the clubhouse now. These guys are 21, 22 coming up. It's unbelievable. And coming up, I think we just like to make all the young guys feel welcome and make it feel like they're a part of the team and not like, we're better than any of them because we got maybe a couple extra years on them. But just have them, make them feel comfortable, and play the best of their ability.
Look at that picture.
That looks like it should be in a music video or something. Look at him. That's awesome.
That was a sick day. I mean, both clinching the playoffs and the AL East was a lot of fun.
So what was more fun for you, Ryan? You grew up playing for Perfect Game, playing in the showcases. My son now is in all the Perfect Game stuff. I mean, winning a perfect game and getting that, the medal at home plate, or waving the AL East flag saying we're the champions of the AL East.
Nothing better than winning a perfect game tournament, man. Definitely the AL East. Yeah, that was insane. I mean, going into the season, I didn't know what to expect, but definitely exceeded, I think, a lot of people's expectations, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
Ryan, Brandon Hyde is a guy who gave a great speech. I think he's like, nobody thought we'd be here when you guys toasted and everything. And, he was choked up. What has he meant to this team? Because a lot of times we see in baseball, as soon as a team gets good, they fire a guy like Brandon Hyde. So what has he meant, and what do you like most about playing for him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's a younger guy when it comes to the coaching world, and he definitely gets along with all the players, and definitely a player's coach. And, whatever you need, if you ever need to talk to somebody, he's always there. So, I mean, he's a great coach, great guy, and, super good to be around.
I want to talk about basically the trade the Yankees made. They picked up Soto, a huge piece to help the Yankees moving forward. They've been struggling the last couple of years. What's your reaction to that? And you think the Orioles are going to make, a big move here? Because we're waiting. We talk about them like, oh, they're in on this guy, in on that guy. What do you expect from, your squad, and how do you feel about Soto being a Yankee now?
Yeah, I mean, well, from our squad, Kimbrel, I think, was a huge pickup, with Felix probably being down the rest of this year. And Soto going over to the Yankees is, I'm sure he's going to have fun at that ballpark. And it's going to be a challenge. I mean, they got a really good team over there. So AL East is always tough. And, hopefully we can, do what we did last year.
Are you guys still thinking you're the top dogs in the East, or what?
I hope so. I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, I'm not going to throw nothing out there, but.
Man. Hey, don't be afraid now. Hey, confidence is key. It's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, we're going to try to have the most fun.
Ryan, do people recognize you more now, or in Baltimore? I mean, what was the Orioles' success like for you personally?
Yeah, Baltimore, I mean, just going to, Target, or just your typical, grocery runs and whatnot. You might have a guy. There was the guy that followed me around the entire Target and finally built up the courage to take a picture with me as I was leaving. But for the most part, it's not too crazy. I mean, back home, not that many people come up to me, but every now and then it's pretty cool when somebody recognizes me.
Hey, Ryan, you're talking about being recognized. Are the Orioles going to recognize you guys and sign some of y'all to some extensions, or what? Have they approached any of you guys? I mean, it's time. Listen, it's time. No, it's serious. It's time. It's time. Between you, Adley, right, Cedric, Gunnar. There's a whole list of guys you can start. I mean, if you want to go through the pitching staff, we can go through Bradish, Kramer, right? Means, Bautista, Cano. I mean, you guys have a great core of guys.
Yeah.
Have you talked to them?
I mean, that would be really sick to, keep that same core together for a long time. But, some of those guys are going to cost some money, I'm sure. So, it's up to them how much they're willing to spend on some of these guys. And, but, for me, I would love to stay with them and, keep that same crew together.
Let me ask you about a young guy coming out, Jackson Holiday. He's like the next coming thing since Mike Trout, from what we're hearing. The guy's a stud. When do you see this guy getting called up? I mean, if you had that magic ball, you could figure it out. Is he going to help this? Is he? You think he's ready to go pretty soon?
I think so. I mean, from what I saw in spring, being 19 and that good, it's unbelievable. And I think he's got a good shot to be up there at some point this year, is from what I'm hearing. And haven't got to see him much besides, like I said, spring last year. But seems like the real deal, and his numbers are, insane from this last minor league season. So I'm sure he'll be up at some point, and I'm sure he'd love to help us out.
If he's got any pop like his father does, he'll be up there this year. I mean, he had some freakish.
Yeah, I saw some video the other day of him.
God.
I played with him. I know.
So did I. I just even when he was older, when we were at the Yankees, I'm telling you, he would just hit a ball opposite field. I'm like, oh my God, where did that just
Yeah,
go?
it's unbelievable.
I hope
I mean, that bloodline's insane from what it
insane.
seemed like.
And he's got a younger brother too. I heard he's supposed to
Yeah,
be even better.
I watched a
Supposed to be
little bit
even
of that
better.
video.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Ryan, you know Britt. Obviously, you know Britt covers the Orioles. So when you're in the clubhouse,
Did cover the Orioles.
Well-
Did cover the Orioles.
well, you still
Ryan,
kind of
I don't think I covered them when Ryan was on the team, though.
at all.
We didn't overlap, did we?
I don't
You
think
weren't
so.
there
I
in
came up
18.
in 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
I was gonna say
No.
because like when I was playing, I'd see Britt come in when I was in Baltimore, and I was like, oh no, here comes the tough question. So who's the reporter now in Baltimore that comes up to you and says, here you see him coming, you're out of your corner, and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna ask me the tough question.
I don't get much hard hitting questions that often. I like to keep it light with them, and I'm more just like, hey, how y'all doing? And I mean, maybe after a good game or something, they might ask me some stuff here and there, but I just try to see how they're all doing and keep it light.
How's
Ryan,
go ahead.
I
I
mean-
was just gonna ask him how his golf game's going. I see some pictures online. You looking like the next what are you Tiger Woods out there? Big
Yeah,
guy.
my golf game's terrible, man. It's
Oh,
unbelievable. I mean, I haven't got to play that much this off season, unfortunately. But off season's past. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I missed that putt probably at least 10 feet by. But look the part. That's all that matters, right?
You and me would be a good matchup then.
Big scramble guy.
We wouldn't want AJ out there.
Yeah, no. Big scramble guy. I can hit it a long way, but
Yeah,
it's in
me
the
too,
fairway
me
once
too.
every 9 holes.
That's true. I love it. I'm the same way, dude.
Yeah, no.
Ryan, do you pay attention to what's going on in the wintertime a lot? And if so, I want to know because every team's got a group chat. Like, what was the group chat like when Shohei Ohtani signed for $700 million? Because you guys were all making like $700,000 on the Orioles.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we didn't really talk about it much as a team. We're more talking about fantasy football and talking crap on that. But once Ohtani signed, I think I remembered seeing it pop up on my phone, just thinking like, "Holy crap! Like $700 million! Like I wouldn't know what to do with that contract." But good for him, well deserved, and definitely unbelievable player. That's insane.
Do you have
who's winning in fantasy football? We got to ask the follow up.
Yeah. That's
Oh man, I can look. I think Danny Coulomb was in first in our league right now. So we got the playoffs starting this week. So we'll see. I came in last 2 years in a row, and finally this year, that monkey's off my back. I think I came in 10th. So out of 12. So
Did you have to do anything for coming in last or no?
Yeah, I was the bat boy for a spring training game, I think last year. So yeah, I hiked up my pants and ran out and got the bats for like 4 or 5 innings.
They didn't make you stay all 9?
Yeah.
No, well, we had 2 guys on our team. It was me and Keegan Aiken. So he got the back half of the game. I got the front half. Yeah, not too bad, but a little embarrassing, but it was all good.
Did you have your jersey on, or did you have like Bat Boy jersey on?
No, I had a Bat Boy jersey on. I think.
And the double flap helmet.
Yeah, the double flap helmet, Bat Boy jersey. I don't know if it's anywhere on social media or anything, but no, it was funny.
Have you gotten over Mount Baltimore in left field yet? Have you gone up to the owners and said like, "Why in the fuck did you guys do this to me?"
It's in the back of my head sometimes, but it is what it is. I guess we won more games this year. It helped the team out. Might have lost me a couple bucks in ARB, but it is what it is. I love the ballpark, love the fans, but that left field wall is something else.
Let me ask you this: you set a lot of goals before the season starts? Is there something that you do? It's like, all right, man, I would love to hit this mark. If I don't, like, are you a high goal setter, or you just go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to give it what I give, and if what I do is best, I'm going to be right there at the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm just going to put all the work in I can. I don't like to, set my eyes on numbers because, maybe you might press a little bit more. But just go out there, get all my work done, and try the best I can. And, whatever the end result is, it is what it is.
Where
do you work out in Orlando? Can I ask you that?
Baseball stuff, I'll do it at the high school or my coach, Jared. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but big perfect game guy. He high school coach, And then when I lift, it's a place called De La Cruz Sports Complex. It's or Sports Performance.
So,
it's sort of by my house. It's in like Oviedo, right by UCF.
so you went to Haggerty. I don't.
Yep.
Most people. Haggerty Huskies.
Yep.
You guys got a few guys. So is it like a MLB meetup every day when you guys are working out? Because you have Riley Green, you have Eflin, you have Mountcastle. Who else? I mean, there's some other guys I think too, right?
Yeah, we got a couple guys that were or good amount of guys that were drafted, and there's about 5 of us still playing. So I got Vaughn Grissom with the Braves. I got Riley, and this kid named Garrett Ballman was recently drafted by the Braves too. But we all work out together. Zach's normally doing his own thing, yeah, no, we all once.
Wait, Eflin's too cool to go and hang out with you guys? Whoa, breaking news here.
Nah. He's doing his own thing, man. He's always lifted by himself and done his own little routine. But he's got kids now, and I mean, I don't have any of them yet, so he's got a whole different lifestyle than I do. But no, I know he's always getting his stuff in, but once baseball stuff starts coming around, he'll come out to Haggerty all the time and do his bullpens and whatnot over there.
Let me ask you this: you have any hobbies? Do you collect sports cards at all?
Not really. I mean,
No.
play some video games and fantasy football in the off season, and besides that, man, I'm just chilling. Yeah, hanging out.
We got a couple. We pulled a couple of your cards. You don't collect your cards either, huh?
I mean, I got some, like, just in case, maybe I get pulled over, officer's big fan or something. Yeah.
Smart.
Do you remember signing this or no?
No clue. Yeah, I mean, I've signed a lot of cards. So,
all right. Nice.
Yeah, no, that looks like a nice little card there. Okay.
Yeah, no,
I haven't seen the one on the right.
What, this
seen
one?
the one on the left. I'm making a
Wow.
funky face on the left.
All right.
But-
Yeah, we'll have to send it out to you. We'll get them signed
Okay.
and give them out for a nice little gift for somebody
for sure.
on the show or something.
Well, Christmas time. There you go.
Let's go, baby. We appreciate
I'll
you.
do that.
Hey, he can come over to the studio. We can get him signed on purpose. We can get a picture of it, and that'll make it worth more, right? Because then
There
we know
we
you
go.
actually signed it.
Authenticity.
Yeah, show the
Big
receipts,
word for
baby.
me.
Show the receipts.
Yeah, I didn't go to college. Yeah. Sorry.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Ryan. We
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck the rest of the fantasy football season. Don't embarrass yourself.
I'll try not to. Have a good one.
Ryan Mountcastle with the Orioles. Guys, later remind me to ask you, do you keep your signed cards in your wallet in case you get pulled over? That seems kind of genius, quite honestly. Seems kind of genius, but I don't have a signed card. I can't really speak to that, but I would consider doing it. Let's put it that way. Let's get to a little BetMGM, guys. One of our sponsors here on FT. There is a $1,500 first bet offer for those of you who have not joined yet. Bonus code FOUL. You can get this offer in 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up, deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account, place your first wager, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. All right, guys, let's switch gears briefly. AJ, this is for you. We're going to get into college football. The College Football Pick'em Challenge running right now through January 1st. Existing BetMGM Sportsbook account holders are eligible. BetMGM is giving our online sportsbook customers the opportunity to win a grand prize up to $25,000 if they predict the most college football bowl games against the spread correctly out of the eligible users. Log into your BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Go to the promotions tab on your sports account to access the BetMGM College Football Bowl Pick'em Challenge. Complete and submit the BetMGM College Football Pick'em Challenge entry. 1 entry per customer permitted. Customers do not need to make all selections at once. Selections on the games can be made up until kickoff for each game. Customers will have the opportunity to win up to $25,000 if they predict the most college football bowl games against the spread correctly out of the eligible users. AJ, are you good at this? Can you pick who's going to win? No? Is that a head
It
fake?
is. So we've talked about this. Todd's probably better at me, but in college football, you just don't know who's going to play because they don't announce hey, the starting quarterback's not playing because of the draft until the day before. So the bowls start tomorrow. I think there's a bowl in Orlando the Cure Bowl starts tomorrow. So but there's bowls into January, and you're like, oh, I'm going to bet on, let's say, Oklahoma, and they're like, oh wait, the quarterback's not there anymore, and the running back's not playing, and the whole defense decided to take the week off. It's like, oh man, it's tough. It's tough because you just don't know who's playing. But listen, if someone can get them all right, they deserve to win $25,000.
Yeah, it's intense. Growing up, I'm from Connecticut, and my dad was a huge sports guy and also a huge betting guy. I feel like before it became mainstream, and he was the kind of guy that if he was winning a bet, you couldn't turn a lamp on, you couldn't get out of your seat, you couldn't go to the bathroom, nothing. It was like everyone is staying here until this game ends, until I cover. That's how it was growing up. That's all I remember. Was nobody messed with anything until the game was over.
100%. I feel like there's one game out. I think Caleb Williams, he's probably not going to play for USC, because he's going to be a high pick in the draft. So you would probably want to take Louisville on that one. That's one I would kind of lean towards. It's 7.5. I looked up just now. So get on that one now. And if Caleb Williams does play, sorry.
Oops. Exactly. Oops. Oops.
Oh god, that's awesome. All right, let's go to Fangraphs right now. We've got a nice full screen for you on some projections that we've got. Right? Yes? No? All right, guys, we've got some Fangraph projections coming up here on just a second that will take you through some more projections.
Some of these are interesting though. If you look at some of these numbers, I'm shocked by some of the, there's a big one that I'm like, wait a minute, that seems really low to me.
It's so early though. Also,
it's not though for one team.
That's true.
Well,
we're not even at Christmas yet. These are going to remember last year.
But here's the thing: when we show this graphic, and there's a team in blue that's famous for wearing some blue color, 90 wins for a blue team after Glasnow. After some guy that's only a DH?
This is just team war right now, though. That team still needs starters.
Put that one up so I can put a lot of money on that one. That would be great.
The Braves, okay. The Braves 97. Okay. That's about where you think they should be, right? The Astros 90 though? You talk about now the rumor is Framber Valdez is on the block. Oof. Talk about needed pitching. Yankees 88.8. I know they're in a tough division, but Rays 87 after trading Glasnow.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Oh, well, how much stock do you guys put in these projections, though? Because
none.
Like I said,
absolutely
not
none. But for betting, but for BetMGM, they're because last year the Diamondbacks were over under 75 or something. We were all hammer the over on that one. And they went to the World Series.
Yeah.
It's all, simulations and projected, but man, that seems like Fangraphs missed on the, Dodgers 90.3, Yankees 88, Todd. 88 on the Yankees. You'd take over on that, wouldn't you?
No.
Man, it's so, I don't know. I'm not sure, man. I don't know. No, for you?
You wouldn't take 88, over 88 wins for the Yankees?
No, not right now. The rotation is literally Garrett Cole and no one.
Rodon, Nasty Nestor.
Rodon. I would love to be wrong, but you can't really count on anything from Rodon.
Nothing.
Clark, piece of Schmidt.
Why are the Orioles 83? Why are the Orioles 83? 84 wins.
Because they also need pitching, and they overperformed. I think the 100-win mark, getting over that 100-win mark, was definitely an overperformance by a lot of guys. You expect some regression from some of these guys. At some point.
Okay. A hater.
I think.
Hater.
I was saving all this from Mountcastle real. Yes, exactly. I don't know. The Yankees, to me, they need another. Yamamoto changes everything. All of a sudden, you're talking about a couple more wins. Which puts you right up that board. Right now, everything's kind of tight.
Okay, Cardinals right now, over under 85 wins.
I say no.
Is Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson do enough?
No, not really.
I don't. I think it helps, but
yeah,
they didn't win. They won what, 75 games last year? Did they win
Not
that many?
sure.
No, they didn't win that many. Their offense, to me, like needs just a better approach. And they
I would
pitched a
agree
lot of
with you on
contact, and
that.
their defense wasn't great, but their offense is just like not caught up. I think to what a lot of these other offenses are doing, and with the new
I agree.
rules, I mean, teams need to capitalize. They need to get young. You need to get fast. You need to get athletic, or you're going to get left behind.
Cardinals won 71 games last year. They have them at 85.2. Is Lance Lynn, Sonny Gray, and Kyle Gibson enough to make up 14 wins? In a division, Brewers are going to be okay. The Cubs are going to be supposedly better. The Reds should be better, right?
They don't even have the Brewers on here on the top 10.
Nope.
Crazy. Listen,
I don't know.
I want to say this: players want to go to these teams. Like, if you don't want to go to the Orioles, well, that stinks. If you don't want to go to the Giants, that stinks. That's why the Blue Jays. I just think of the Blue Jays, as Russ brought up. Do people want to go play for them? That's a solid question to ask. Do people, even if you get the best deal, are people like gung ho, like, oh, perfect, let me sign right away? Like, do guys really want to go play over there? And I'm kind of calling them out, but at the same time, like, why aren't people going to some of these teams that are trying to get bigger names? I don't know.
Well, who have the Blue Jays tried to get? They tried to get Ohtani, but other than that, who have they really that we've heard of?
Yeah, well, nothing that we heard of, but I'm sure they've been on other guys. So it's like, why aren't they getting these pieces? It's just, if they were in on everybody, like Russ says a couple weeks ago, or in the winter meetings, why aren't they going there? Like, are they undermining the price? Are they just not? I don't know. It just boggles my mind. As some teams like, oh, I would love to play for the Blue Jays. In my opinion, that would be awesome. But
Yeah,
they're getting nobody.
Well, the Orioles are getting no because they won't spend any money. So we know why they're not getting anybody.
No,
as Britt said, they're dumpster diving already. So, I mean.
I like it.
They're so busy tied up in stadium negotiations, guys. I mean, how narcissistic is this? John Angelos announces the day that they clinch the American League East, as Mountcastle was talking about. Everyone's talking about the team on the field. John Angelos is shown on the Jumbotron with the governor saying they have a deal for a 30-year lease for the stadium. And everyone's like, yeah, like, go Baltimore. Well, that wasn't true. They had like a verbal agreement to keep negotiating. He just wanted the attention on him on a time that the Orioles were celebrating the American League East. And still today, there is no agreement in place. They have kind of kept kicking this can down the road, and the end of December is when their lease expires. So they're going to have to operate some kind of agreement. I was told there'll probably be news on that front today at some point. So, there's just a whole lot going on with the Orioles. Owner John Angelos wants $600 million to be able to develop the way he wants around the stadium, but yet they won't invest in this higher payroll. I just, I really question, what they're doing, because we saw a report earlier in the week about, they've been talking to other ownership groups about potentially selling. So, the long-term future of the Orioles, I think, kind of remains up in limbo. As Peter Angelos is in poor health, John Angelos is kind of taking care of it right now, is the principal owner. But, how much does he want to get back to those days? Because I think people forget they were in the top half of payrolls, not once, not twice, for like a decade. So they can get back there, and we know that. So shouldn't they get back there now? Shouldn't this be the time that they push all their chips in and say, all right, not going to blow up our window by any means, but let's add enough pieces that we can make a real 4 or 5 year run at winning the World Series?
Britt, how does the Nashville Orioles sound, or the Orlando Orioles?
Yeah, Orlando
Orioles
has
perfectly. It's like an alliteration, right? Isn't that the word?
Very nice.
I mean, if they don't have a lease, maybe they can be the Oakland Orioles. I don't know. There's a stadium already built out there. It's crazy. This is crazy.
I know, isn't it? It's not getting enough play nationally, I feel.
You're right, because I didn't even know until you just said that. I thought they had signed the lease. Did you know, Todd, that they hadn't? I mean, because I remember we covered this when it was going down, and then the thing happened that you said, and they said, oh, we did a 30-year lease. And we're like, oh, they finally did something right. And then now you just now telling me this after all these months?
I mean, I know, because I don't think enough people know. Because, again, they showed him on the Jumbotron with the governor, and they were like, we've agreed. And it was more like, we've agreed to keep negotiating about this thing we can't solve. And you're like, okay, well, why did that need to interrupt the American League?
Why does John Angelos need $600 million to develop it? Shouldn't it be the city or the state that chooses? If the Orioles don't own the land, then shouldn't it be I don't know. I don't know enough about how it works, but that seems odd to me.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, they want the battery. Every team now wants the battery, right? They
I want
want
the
what
battery.
Atlanta has. I mean, I do too. Why own the stadium? I would love to own all the apartments and charge people insane
Everything.
amounts. And you know what I mean? Like that is the hallmark of the future. But speaking of stadium uncertainty, and I'm sure he gets dogged by this all the time, we have Oakland A's player Nick Allen here on the line joining us. I'm sure he's like rolling his eyes already. Hi, Nick. He's like, God, are we going to talk about the
How's it
stadium
going?
stuff?
Come on.
Wait,
now.
no. Can we call them Oakland A's? Are you guys the Vegas A's? Are you the Sacramento A's? Are you guys the Albuquerque
still
A's?
Oakland A's?
Are you?
Still Oakland A's as of now, yeah.
Have you thought about that, though? How weird? I mean, after this year, you don't know where you're going to play. So have you thought about that a little bit?
Obviously it's run through my head. But first of all, thank you guys for having me on. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely uncertainty up in the air, but I think, we're just taking it one step at a time. So right now we're in Oakland. So we're the Oakland A's.
Let me give you a little backstory here. Nick and I played in the Olympics together, in the trials together for USA. When I first saw this guy, I'm like, listen, who the hell is this little pipsqueak coming on here thinking he's going to be on this USA team? And he ended up being the shortstop. I played 30. I told somebody, I said, listen, this guy is going to win a Gold Glove one year. He's got some of the best hands. His work ethic is off the charts. And I explained to him in Japan, I said, nobody can ever attest to your work ethic. You keep working hard and keep doing your thing. So good for you on getting. Now, I told you it was only a matter of time before you got up there. You know what I mean?
I know. Miss you, Todd.
No, miss you too.
But yeah, I mean, just gotta, like you said, I mean, on that last day, I think we were talking on the balcony, and you just told me like, just keep your head down, keep working. So I mean, that's what I'm doing every day.
Exactly. Now I want to go to something kind of cute here. You just got married to Savannah. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You guys went on a nice honeymoon. What was it? You were out there for what, 2 or 3 weeks? Where'd you go?
No, we did a 12-day stay. We went to Australia and New Zealand. So we went to Hamilton Island, kind of the northern part of Australia, and then New Zealand. We went to Queenstown, which was awesome.
Now people don't know you married into the Boone family, so you have a couple family members that played. So my question is, I'm going through the Boones here. I'm going Brett Boone. I'm going Aaron Boone. I'm going Bob Boone, the old man. I'm going Ray Boone. So how does it feel to be the 5th best baseball player in the family now?
They all. I can't talk about baseball really around them. Obviously we do, but there's nothing that I've ever done that they haven't done.
Exactly.
So that's what's awesome about it is because I think it's just. It's cool that when Savannah and I are together, we just try to get baseball off of our minds, and we just don't really talk about it, bring it up. But if I do ever bring it up, she's got great advice because she's been through it. She's seen her dad go through it. She's seen her uncles go through it, her grandfather. I mean, it's really definitely a blessing, but also it kind of humbles me at the same time.
Nick, I talked to your father-in-law. Oh, sorry, Britt.
Oh, I thought you were. I'll cut you off, AJ.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, now I'm back.
Spotlight's on.
So Nick, when I found out you were coming on, I texted your father-in-law, who I've known for 20 plus years now, and I said, you got any good stories about Nick? And he said, well, no, he's too nice to have any stories about. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sit well in the Boone family, right? So then I said, come on, give me something. And he just said that every time you bitch to Savannah, she says, shut up, quit your whining, get out there and kick some ass. So is that how she talks to you?
Yep. Oh, 100%. No, I mean, when we're trying to flush the game for sure, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, kind of maybe going over the day. She's like, look, get your head out of your ass. You're going to be fine, and it's, but obviously with a lot of love, because she just knows that, baseball is just a game of, ups and downs, and is the only way to get through it is just by staying steady, and to keep a level head. So that's what she just tries to ingrain, but I'm so thankful that she's there by my side with during it.
Nick, Mark Kotze is so well respected in this game. I mean, he had chances to interview for a bunch of other jobs this winter, and chose to stay because I think he believes, at least in what his immediate bosses are doing. I think we're going to leave the way up John Fisher's out of this question. But I mean, playing for a guy like that who, that the team isn't trying to win necessarily, that they're not giving you all those resources. But what is Mark like? And do you feel like he's the perfect guy to have in this kind of a scenario to kind of keep you guys concentrated and insulate you from, the total shit show that's happening not on the field?
I think the not trying to win thing is definitely not true. We're going out there to try to win every ball game. We're all big league baseball players when we step on that field. So, I know obviously there's, tons of teams that, have trying to bot their way in a sense, but, we're out there grinding and, we know how to play this game as well. So I think that's one thing that Kotz always tries to instill in us, that, when we get to the ballpark, expect to win, because that's why else would we be there? So I think, with everything going on, that's just our focus, is just to step in there and win. Because if you think of anything else, then you're already beat for the day. So that's definitely his motto, and he wants us to get after it, whether that's getting after it in the gym, putting in our work before the game, just to get ready to go. And he wants us to be the hardest working team out there in the big leagues. And I think, we're one of those teams for sure.
I want to ask you a question about position wise. So you came up as a shortstop, you bounced around a little second base there a little bit too as well. Where do you see yourself playing this year coming up? And is there that big of a difference from playing second base to shortstop for these young guys out there to understand?
No, I don't think there's a ton of difference. I mean, obviously it's the left side and the right side, but if you can play one, you should be able to play the other. That's what I think. So I sometimes take ground balls at second, but I believe I'm a shortstop. So that's just my goal. But any chance to get on the field is what I want to do. So whether that's center field, left field, pitching, it doesn't really matter to me. Just as long as I'm out there trying to help the team win. But yeah, definitely shortstop's my main position, and I take pride in it.
Let me ask you this. We gambled a little bit when we played for Team USA. We stayed up to the wee hours of the night. I had such good memories of that.
Mm-hmm.
And now where I'm getting at, you played in Vegas. So, how was it playing in Vegas? I know I did a stint there when I was rehabbing. I'm like, dude, I didn't even want to play baseball anymore. I love the whole atmosphere, all that. How was it like playing in Vegas and going back up to Oakland? Which stadium do you like better? There's some cool questions to ask you there.
Yeah, obviously, I think being in the big leagues is such a honor and a privilege every day. So, being able to walk into this big league stadium is amazing. But for having a default AAA stadium in Las Vegas ain't bad. It's pretty nice there, and just with everything around Vegas, it's good. It's a good obviously nightlife. For people that want to do that, you got gambling, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of things you can possibly do in Vegas. But as ballpark wise, it's definitely a privilege being able to walk into a big league stadium every day.
Nick, you're from San Diego. Did you grow up a Padres fan? And, how nice is it? I have family that are out there that are so into the Padres now. And it seems like the whole city, ever since the Chargers left, has been all in on San Diego. So what has that been like for you to experience, or your family to experience as well?
Yeah, I definitely grew up a Padres fan for sure. Just being able to go to games. I remember going to games, I think when I was 4 years old, and I put on my, T-ball outfit and just go and act like I was already a big league baseball player there. So I can't thank obviously my parents for taking me to all those baseball games, because, it's definitely drove me to be the guy I am today, the player I am today. But yeah, for sure, grew up a Padres fan and a Chargers fan. Sucked to see the Chargers lose. That really hurt, or to leave, that hurt. And then obviously I think they lost last night by a lot or whatnot. But yeah, San Diego sports fan through and through. But obviously that all changes, I think, when you kind of get to this kind of level here.
Yeah, Nick, they fired their coach today. Just FYI, the Chargers did. So, I mean,
Yeah,
when you're
I
down
saw
40,
that.
what
It's
was it,
probably a
42?
good-
When you're
yeah,
down 42-0 at halftime, usually that doesn't end
yeah,
well for the coach in the NFL the next day.
yeah. They definitely had a good team this year, and for some reason, they didn't put it together. So they're making a change. Probably good.
Do you still root for the Chargers even though they moved to LA? Do you still?
I thought I wasn't.
You got to be a Raider fan now,
But
don't you? Because
yeah,
you're a Vegas Ace or Vegas Raiders.
yeah, but you're still kind of like that hometown fan. That's what I am. But when Herbert came to the Chargers, that's when I started becoming a Chargers fan more and more because I thought I was going to give up on it when they moved to LA. But then Herbert came along and it kind of brought me back in. So
Very nice. Now, let me ask you this. When you got up to the big leagues, was there somebody, you looked up to and then you got on the bases, you're like, holy cow, like this is a guy I've always wanted to talk to or say hi to. And, who did you look up to as you were a young kid too as well?
yeah, I mean, I think growing up, obviously, I looked at Derek Jeter, but obviously I haven't played against him. So, but obviously, one thing was really cool was, and I'm not just trying to toot your own horn here, but when we showed up that first time at the qualifiers, and I saw you, I just remember seeing you on TV and all that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool here. Get to see Todd Frazier. But then I just realized kind of how just of a how like such a good guy you were, and just how you communicated with everyone, and it was just normal. You treated me normal, and I was like, damn, that's pretty sweet. So, but maybe seeing Otani was pretty cool. The guy and Judge, those are two big tall guys, and obviously I'm not as that height and stature or whatnot. How do you say that? But it was cool being able to play against those guys and know that you're on the same field as them. So that was something that was awesome to me.
Nick, you know who your father-in-law is, right?
I do, yes, Brett Boone.
He is going to be pissed you didn't say him.
No.
Oh, dude, DeBoone?
No,
DeBoone is going to be pissed, bro.
He gives me respect. He knows. Boone's know.
Yeah, they know. But one thing about Brett is that I've kind of known him for a while. But the thing is, he has a son, Jake Boone, who's my age, and I played against him. I don't know how many years growing up when I was young, but I never knew Jake had a sister, and didn't know Brett had a daughter. But I've always heard, it's like my dad would always say, Brett Boone's such a great baseball player, and I was like, damn, he hits rockets at me. So for ground balls, he's definitely strong. But I never really knew too much about him being a baseball player, other than my dad being like, that guy used to freaking hit bombs, and then. Growing up, obviously, and then I come across Savannah, and we're just putting two and two together, and she's just telling me about her brother, Jake Boone. I'm like, I know that name. What? Oh, Jake, I played against him. And then, oh, your dad's Brett. But then, I never knew of Savannah before that. And I think if Savannah would have known me through Jake, then this whole thing would have never worked, because she would always saw me as, Jake's friend. And that would have just never worked. So I'm glad everything worked out the way it did.
Now, what do you call Brett? Do you call him Mr. Boone?
No, between now Dad and Brett. So kind of just go through both.
So he used to have a shirt, right? And he used to be called Duh Boone. So he gave me a shirt one time that said, I know Duh Boone. And that's what it said. And then he had a shirt for himself that said, I am Da Boone. And so you had to be his friend, and once you became friends with him, he'd give you a shirt that said, I know Da Boone. So you could wear it around. You're like, hey, look, I'm friends with Brett Boone. But if you weren't his friend, he would never give you a shirt. So you had to work. So next time you see him, I just want you to go up to him and say, hey.
He gave me a shirt, and it was Boone approved. So
there you go.
See? There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Oh.
Yeah. And I gave him one of my Danger Season shirts, and he's wearing it around. But the Boone approved shirt is awesome.
That's great.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us, Nick. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. This is awesome. And Todd, thank you again for reaching out.
You got it, man. We'll talk to you during the year, brother.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
Nick.
thank you. Take care. Nick Allen with the A's. Oh, that poor, poor soul. Todd Frazier is his hero?
No, that's
Was this
baby.
pre-scripted?
Hey, listen, money talks. You know that over here in the East Coast. Watch out.
So you paid him to say that?
Hey, no, that kid that's one class act right there. He's as smooth as silk on the defensive end. You know, he's going to get his doubles and he's going to, be a really good hitter once they let him just play. Let him go out there and fail a little bit more. Let him go out there and play a full season. You're going to see a solid baseball player.
Yeah, really, really impressive interview. So bright future ahead, hopefully, for Nick Allen. All right, guys, let's slap some hands.
Slap
All
him
right.
up.
Slap him up. Birthdays today, Ryan Presley, Jonathan India. We've got some anniversaries, right? That's why Kratz isn't here, celebrating his anniversary.
Yes.
This is baseball wedding season, but no normal person gets married in December. You guys know that, right?
Really? Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's
Normal
not
people
good
get
for
married
me.
in like October. Yeah, I know.
No.
June,
sorry.
July. I got to go to a wedding
Yeah.
on Saturday, so it's not mine, but another person's. I'm like, why?
Why? Are they baseball people? I don't know why you
No.
get married in December.
No.
Brett, my anniversary was yesterday.
I saw on the
Yeah.
Instagrams.
I am a.
Happy anniversary.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy then. I don't know. Watch out.
But you're a baseball person. Baseball players get married in December, January.
True.
Everyone else, you want that nice fall, or even a spring. You want that May or October weather in most places.
And then you have kids in around this time. I had one in November and one coming up in December too.
That's the other thing. One year, the Orioles had so many guys who were going to have kids that Buck made them a baby calendar. And he's like, you could only, and I'm like, this is so inappropriate. You can't be passing this out.
Too funny.
Can't be telling guys when they can't have kids and when they can. But
No,
there
you can't do that.
There was definitely a season of like 6 guys on paternity leave in like 2 weeks.
Get used to it.
I know. So, well, were you guys old enough to remember when they didn't have paternity leave? Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
Yes. Okay. So, like, I remember Nick Markakis came, like, literally missed his son's, like, maybe didn't miss his son's birth, but came back like the day.
I came back the next day after my daughter was born.
Yeah, because
She was born during the season. We were supposed to have an off day. I watched our game on TV while birth was being done. Next day, in the lineup. There was no like, oh, take 72 hours, kid.
Yeah.
Next day, boom, you're in the lineup.
Yeah.
Hang with it.
I was like this. I'm like, baby, here you go. See you later. I'm on the plane.
Oh my God. Glad that the union has changed that, guys.
Yes, that was a good thing.
Two. At least sleep on that really awful, I'm told, couch in the hospital. Poor guys. Poor guys. We have to give labor, but all I hear about is the couch at the hospital.
Yeah.
So.
Couch is much worse, much tougher, much more pain.
You guys know pain. You guys know pain, not me. Oh, well, thanks for having me here to hang out, guys. I appreciate it. This was a fun show.
Love it. Love the change. Love the change.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for listening as well. Have a great weekend. We will see you back here next week on Foul Territory. Follow along, if you're not already, on all the social medias. Stay happy, stay safe. Have a great rest of your Friday.